Emilia was 35 years old, a big, beautiful woman with a warm smile and a soft heart. She wasn't slim like the ladies you see in fashion magazines. No, Emilia was fat, but in her fatness was a special charm. Her laughter could fill a room, her hugs could swallow away your sadness, and her determination could shake a mountain. She married Charles when they had nothing. Charles was tall, dark, handsome, and very intelligent, but life had not given him a chance. They lived in a small one-room apartment in Lagos, the zinc roof always leaking whenever rain fell. Their bed was small, the wardrobe was just a wooden box, and sometimes they cooked with firewood at the backyard when gas finished. But Emilia never complained. Whenever Charles came home with a tired face, Emilia would rub his back and say, "Don't worry, my love. One day, everything will change. You will sit in a big office wearing suit and tie. You will drive your own car, and people will call you sir." Charles would smile weakly. "Amen. But look at us, Emilia. Look at where we are." And Emilia would touch his cheek with her chubby hand. "Where we are doesn't matter. Who we are matters more. I believe in you. I know you are going far." They had 2 children, Precious, a girl of 8 years, and Junior, a boy of 5. Life was hard, but Emilia carried the weight of the family like a lioness protecting her cubs. She woke early to fry a kara by the roadside, selling to neighbors rushing to work. Sometimes she cleaned offices. Sometimes she helped people wash clothes. Every kobo she made, she brought home. "Charles, keep this," she would say, dropping money in his hand. "Go and buy newspaper. Search for job again. Don't give up." And Charles, though ashamed, always obeyed. One day, Emilia heard of a vacancy in a big company through a friend who bought a car from her. She quickly rushed home. "Charles, wear your best shirt. Comb your hair. There is an interview happening today. Go and try." Charles sighed. "Ah, Emilia, those people don't want people like me. I've tried and tried. I'm tired." But Emilia stood firm. "If you don't go, I will drag you there myself. Do you want to rot in this one room forever? You are a man with brain, Charles. Let people see it." Her fire lit his spirit. He went. 2 weeks later, a letter came. Charles had gotten the job. Emilia danced like a child. She rolled on the floor, clapping her hands, shouting, "Jehovah, you have done it. My husband has a job." From that day, their lives began to change slowly. Charles was now working in an office, earning monthly salary. Emilia continued selling akara, but now she added drinks and bread. Together, they were surviving better. With time, Charles climbed higher. His dedication was sharp, and his intelligence shone. His bosses loved him. In 5 years, Charles had moved from earning peanuts to becoming a manager with a fat salary. They moved out of the one room into a 2-bedroom flat. Emilia wept as they carried their things. She touched the leaking zinc roof one last time and whispered, "Thank you for sheltering us." Charles hugged her. "You are a strange woman. Who thanks a leaking roof?" Emilia smiled. A grateful woman. Their children now went to better schools. Charles started buying Emilia gifts, jewelry, handbags, wrappers. He even got her a small car. Life was sweet. But something else also changed. Charles, now rich and exposed, began to see the world differently. His colleagues had slim wives who wore makeup, fixed nails, and looked like models. Emilia, with her fat body and simple ways, didn't match that picture. At first, it was small comments. "Emilia, your stomach is too big. Try and reduce food." "Emilia, look at your arms. They are like yam tubers. Try exercise." Sometimes, he said it as a joke in front of friends. They would laugh. Emilia would laugh too, but her heart bled inside. One evening, she wore a new red gown she had sewn for church. She stood before him, smiling shyly. "How do I look, my love?" Charles looked up and hissed, "You look like a bag of rice tied with ribbon. Why do you waste money sewing gowns instead of reducing weight?" The words cut her like a knife. She went inside, sat on the bed, and cried silently. She remembered the day she carried Charles on her back financially, feeding him, paying transport for his interviews, even pawning her jewelry to buy him shoes. Now the man she sacrificed everything for was mocking her body. But she kept quiet. She didn't want her children to see them quarrel. At night, when Charles slept, Amelia often turned her face to the wall and let tears roll down. She prayed silently. God, I love this man. I carried him when he had nothing. I cleaned his shoes when nobody respected him. Now that he is big, he insults me. Father, help me. Don't let my marriage scatter. She thought of dieting, but every time she tried, stress made her eat again. She thought of gym, but time and money didn't allow. Still, she tried little by little. But no matter what she did, Charles' words grew harsher. He would come home smelling of strange perfume. He stayed longer at work. Sometimes he ignored her calls. Mummy, why is Daddy always angry with you? Precious asked one evening. Amelia forced a smile. Don't worry, my daughter. Daddy is just tired from work. But deep inside, her heart was cracking. One Saturday morning, Amelia woke early and prepared Charles' favorite breakfast, yam and egg sauce. She dressed the children neatly, and they all waited for him in the sitting room. When he finally came out of the bedroom, looking sharp in a new polo, Amelia smiled. Darling, sit down. We want to eat together today. Charles frowned. Amelia, look at you. You are sweating already this early morning. Always sweating. You disgust me. Her hand shook. The children froze. Junior whispered, Mummy, don't cry. But Amelia's tears dropped before she could stop them. Charles was no longer the man Amelia once knew. He used to run home to her smile, to her food, to her laughter. But now, he came home late every day, smelling of wine and strange perfume. Amelia tried to pretend she didn't notice at first. She told herself maybe it was work, maybe it was stress. But deep inside, her heart feared. One night, when he walked in very late, she gently asked, Charles, why are you coming home so late these days? The children wait for you. They ask of you. Charles dropped his car keys on the table with a loud bang. His eyes turned red with anger. Amelia, must you always nag me? Is it your business when I come home? Look at you, fat, sweaty, smelling of food oil. You disgust me. Don't ever question me again. His words cut her heart like knife. Amelia's eyes filled with tears. She turned away so the children would not see her cry, but they did. Precious held her mother's wrapper tightly, whispering, Mummy, sorry. Don't cry. Charles was now seeing another woman. Her name was Nora, a beautiful, slim, dark-skinned woman who loved wearing fitted dresses and red lipstick. She didn't care about Amelia. She didn't care about the children. She only cared about herself and Charles. Whenever Charles visited her, Nora would smile, touch his chest, and say softly, You know I love you, Charles. Why are you still keeping that fat woman in your house? She doesn't fit you. You are a big man now. You need a woman like me by your side. Charles laughed, sipping his drink. Don't worry, baby. I will throw her out soon. It's just the children I am thinking of. Nora rolled her eyes. Children, they will survive. Be fast, Charles. I don't want to continue sharing you with that fat woman. You deserve better, and I am better. Charles nodded. Don't worry. Soon, very soon. Back at home, Amelia waited every night, her heart breaking. She cooked his favorite food, but Charles no longer touched it. She wore her best wrapper, but Charles no longer looked at her. One night, she gathered courage and said, Charles, is there another woman? Please, if there is, tell me the truth. Charles' face twisted with anger. Are you mad? Who do you think you are to question me? Look at your fat body, your ugly arms. Do you think any man wants a woman like you? I am even ashamed of you. Be grateful I still let you stay in my house. Amelia broke down, sobbing loudly. Charles, after all I did for you, after all I sacrificed, I carried this family when you had nothing. I believed in you when the world mocked you. And this is how you pay me back. But Charles only hissed, picked his car key, and stormed out again. The children were not too young to understand. Precious asked her mother, Mummy, why doesn't Daddy love you anymore? Why does he always go out and come back angry? Amelia hugged her tightly, hiding her tears. Don't worry, my daughter. Daddy is just busy. One day, things will change. But deep in her heart, she was breaking. Every insult Charles gave her replayed in her head. Every laugh he shared with Nora stabbed her soul. At night, she prayed, God, I am not asking for wealth. I am not asking for beauty. I am only asking for love and peace in my home. Why is Charles treating me like this? One afternoon, Amelia saw Nora for the first time. Charles had dropped her near their street, forgetting that Amelia was returning from the market at the same time. Nora looked at Amelia with a sly smile. So you are the wife? Now I see why Charles is ashamed of you. Look at you, fat, old, dull. Do you think you can keep a man like him? Wake up, madam. Charles is mine now. Amelia's basket nearly fell from her hand. Tears burned her eyes. But she said nothing. She just walked away slowly, her heart heavy like stone. That night, when Charles returned, Amelia begged him, Charles, please, don't destroy this home. The children need you. I need you. Don't let that woman scatter what we built together. But Charles shouted, Shut up, Amelia. Don't ever mention her name again. If not for the children, I would have thrown you out already. You are a disgrace to me. You are too fat, too old, too local. I regret ever marrying you. Amelia fell to the floor, crying bitterly. Her chest hurt as if someone had stabbed her. Days turned into weeks. Charles now spent more time at Nora's house than his own. He bought her expensive wigs, perfumes, and dresses. He took her out to restaurants, hotels, and even business parties, introducing her as a close friend. At home, Amelia suffered. The children noticed there was less money for food because Charles spent most of it on Nora. Amelia returned to frying a cara to make sure Precious and Junior had something to eat. Neighbors began to gossip. See Amelia. Her husband is rich, but look at her selling a cara again. That man has another woman, that's why. Their whispers broke Amelia's heart even more, but she kept pushing. For her children, she refused to give up. One evening, Nora sat with Charles in her living room, resting her head on his shoulder. Charles, you know I love you, but I am tired of waiting. Throw that fat woman out. Divorce her. She doesn't deserve you. Charles kissed her forehead. I will, baby. Don't worry. Soon, very soon. Nora pouted. Better be fast. I can't keep sharing you. You are mine, and mine alone. Charles nodded, but his heart was restless. That night, Amelia sat alone in the living room. The children were asleep. She looked at the wedding picture on the wall, Charles smiling, holding her tightly. That smile was gone now. That love was gone now. She whispered to herself, so this is how love dies? So this is how a woman who gave everything becomes nothing. God, why me? Tears rolled down her cheeks as she hugged herself. And in that quiet night, Amelia knew something. Her life would never remain the same again. Days passed, and Amelia's sadness grew deeper. Charles no longer looked at her like his wife. He mocked her for her size, ignored her tears, and spent most nights at Nora's place. She barely slept anymore. Many nights, she sat by the window, staring at the quiet sky, whispering prayers that seemed to bounce back in silence. Her heart was breaking slowly. One morning, after another sleepless night waiting for Charles, Amelia finally decided she couldn't keep quiet anymore. She wiped her face, dressed up neatly, and took a bus to see Charles's elder brother, Festus. Festus was a kind man, simple, honest, and respected by everyone. When Amelia arrived, her eyes were swollen from crying. Amelia, what happened? He asked softly, noticing her pain. She broke down immediately, falling on her knees before him. Brother Festus, please talk to your brother for me. Charles no longer cares for me or the children. He insults me every day, calls me fat, says I disgust him. He now has another woman. Please, help me before I lose my home. Festus sighed deeply and shook his head. Amelia, stop crying. You are a good woman. I know what you did for Charles when he had nothing. Don't worry, I'll talk to him. Amelia looked up, tears rolling down her cheeks. Thank you, brother. I don't want to lose my marriage. I just want peace. Festus placed a comforting hand on her shoulder. Go home. I'll handle it. The next day, Festus decided to surprise his younger brother at work. Charles was sitting in his big office, wearing a fine suit, scrolling through his phone when his secretary entered. "Sir, your brother, Mr. Festus, is here to see you." Charles looked up quickly. "My brother. Oh, let him in." Festus walked in slowly, his face serious and calm, but his eyes were firm. Charles stood up, smiling awkwardly. "Brother, you didn't tell me you were coming. What a surprise." But Festus didn't smile back. He looked straight at him and said, "Charles, sit down." Charles frowned a little but obeyed. "Brother, what's wrong?" Festus placed both hands on the table and stared at him. "You are what's wrong, Charles. Have you forgotten how you started? Have you forgotten the woman who built you up when you had nothing? The woman who sold a car to feed you and your children? Wasn't she fat when you married her? Now because you have money, you call her fat? You insult her? You cheat on her." Charles tried to speak. "Brother, please don't believe everything she..." But Festus slammed the table. "Keep quiet. When you were broke, you didn't notice she was fat. When you were hungry, her food was sweet to you. When you had no job, she stood by you. Now that you are rich, she's suddenly not good enough? You are a disgrace, Charles." Charles looked down, ashamed, but pride filled his heart. Festus continued, "You have abandoned your family for another woman who doesn't even care about you. I am ashamed of you, Charles. Very ashamed." Festus grabbed his car key and stood up. "If you keep walking this road, you will lose everything that truly matters." Without another word, he turned and walked out, slamming the door behind him. Charles sat there, sweating, his jaw tight with anger, not at himself, but at Emilia. That evening, when Charles returned home, he was breathing fire. He opened the door so hard that the children ran in fear. "Emilia," he shouted. Emilia came out quietly from the kitchen, wiping her hands on her wrapper. "Yes, Charles." He pointed at her angrily. "So you went to report me to my brother, eh? You want to make me look like a fool? You want to destroy my name?" Emilia's heart pounded. "Charles, I only wanted him to talk to you. I didn't mean any harm. You don't listen to me anymore." Before she could finish, he slapped her hard across the face. "You shameless woman. You want to embarrass me? You fat fool," he screamed, hitting her again. The children screamed, "Daddy, stop. Daddy, stop hurting Mummy." But Charles pushed Emilia to the floor. "Get out of my house." Tears streamed down Emilia's face as she crawled up, holding her cheek. "Charles, please, don't do this in front of the children. Please." But Charles was too angry to listen. "Leave now. I don't ever want to see your face again." He grabbed her small bag, threw it outside, and dragged her toward the door. Precious ran after her mother, crying, "Mummy, don't go." Junior held her wrapper tightly, sobbing, "Mummy, please don't leave us." Emilia knelt and hugged them tightly, tears falling freely. "My babies, I love you. Don't cry. I will come for you. I promise." Charles shouted, "Children, come inside now." But they refused to move. They stood outside crying as their mother picked up her small bag and walked away, barefoot and broken. Emilia walked a long distance before reaching the gate of her old friend, Amaka. She knocked weakly, her eyes swollen and red. When Amaka opened the door and saw her, she gasped, "Jesus, Emilia, what happened to you?" Emilia broke down, crying loudly, "He beat me. He threw me out. Charles said I should leave his house." Amaka quickly pulled her inside and hugged her tightly. "Shush, stop crying. You'll be fine, my sister. Don't cry again." She helped Emilia sit down, brought her water, and wiped her tears. "You can stay here as long as you want. Forget that man. He doesn't deserve you." But Emilia shook her head sadly. "Amaka, it hurts. I gave him everything. I built him. I suffered with him. And now he treats me like trash." Amaka held her hands. "Listen to me, Emilia. Sometimes, pain opens the door for something better. You will rise again. Just be strong." Emilia looked up at her friend, eyes full of sorrow. "How can I be strong when my children are not with me?" Amaka's heart broke. We'll find a way, my sister. Don't lose hope. While Amelia was crying at her friend's house, Charles wasted no time. That same week, he brought Nora into the home. The neighbors were shocked. This man didn't even wait. He replaced his wife like she never existed. Nora came in with her fancy dresses, loud perfume, and pride. She sat on Amelia's chair, used her kitchen, and even slept on her bed. When the children came home from school and saw her, Precious frowned. "Who are you?" Nora smiled wickedly. "I am your daddy's new woman. Go and take your bath." Junior shouted, "You are not our mummy. Our mummy is Amelia." Charles raised his voice. "Enough. You will respect her. She is your new mummy now." The children began to cry. Precious held Junior's hand and ran to their room, sobbing, "We want mummy. We want mummy." Charles ignored them, pretending not to hear. Nora laughed softly, resting her head on his shoulder. "Let them cry, baby," she whispered. "They'll get used to me soon. Forget that fat woman. She's gone for good." Charles nodded silently, but deep inside, a small shadow of guilt crept into his heart. That night, as Charles lay beside Nora, he turned to the wall and sighed heavily. Far away, Amelia sat by Amaka's window, looking at the moon through her tears. Her voice trembled as she whispered, "God, if you can hear me, please don't let my children forget me." Days turned to weeks, and Amelia stayed with her friend Amaka. Though Amaka treated her with love, Amelia's heart was never at peace. Every night she cried quietly, thinking about her children. She wondered if they had eaten, if they were sleeping well, if they missed her as much as she missed them. Sometimes, Amaka would wake up and find Amelia sitting by the window, staring into the dark sky. "Amelia," she would whisper softly, "come and sleep. Crying won't solve it." Amelia would shake her head slowly, tears running down her face. "Amaka, my heart aches. My children, my babies, they need me. I can't even hug them. I can't kiss them goodnight." Amaka sat beside her and held her hands. "I know, my sister. But one day, God will fight for you. Just wait and see." Amelia nodded weakly. "I hope so. Because right now, I feel like I have nothing left." Meanwhile, in Charles's house, everything had changed. The once warm, happy home had turned into a cold, silent place. Nora moved around like a queen. She changed the curtains, removed Amelia's pictures from the wall, and even threw away some of her things. She would look at Charles and smile. "Now this house looks like mine." Charles laughed and said, "You can do whatever you like, baby. This is your home now." But deep inside, he didn't feel the peace he expected. The laughter in the house was gone. The children rarely smiled. Precious had stopped eating well, and Junior cried every night asking for his mother. Sometimes, when Charles sat at the dining table, he could still hear Amelia's voice in his head, her laughter, her gentle "Darling, your food is ready." But when he looked up, it was Nora standing there, wearing short dresses and rolling her eyes if he didn't smile. "Charles," she said one night, "you think too much these days. Are you missing that woman?" Charles frowned. "What kind of question is that?" Nora smirked. "I'm just asking. You better forget her. I don't want her name mentioned here again." Charles looked at her and said nothing. But that night, he couldn't sleep. The children were the ones who suffered the most. Precious would wake up crying in the middle of the night. "Daddy, where's Mummy? I want Mummy." Charles would sigh and say, "Go back to sleep. Mummy is fine." But Nora didn't like it. "Charles, you better control those kids. I don't want to hear that woman's name in this house again. I'm not their maid." Charles shouted at the children, "Enough. Don't ever mention your mother again." From that day, Precious and Junior stopped talking much. They became quiet and sad. Sometimes they whispered to each other at night, holding hands. One evening, Junior said softly, "Sister, do you think Mummy will come back?" Precious nodded, wiping her tears. "She will. Mummy never breaks her promise." One afternoon, Amaka brought food to the table. "Amelia, eat something. You've been crying since morning." Amelia looked down at the food and whispered, "I'm not hungry." Amaka sighed. Emilia, you have to stop punishing yourself. That man doesn't deserve your tears. You are beautiful, strong, and kind. Don't let his words kill your spirit. Emilia smiled weakly. Amaka, I just want my children. That's all that matters to me. Amaka's eyes softened. She held Emilia's hands and said, You will have them back one day, my sister. No storm lasts forever. Just keep praying and stay strong. Your children will smile in your arms again. Not long after, Charles began to notice that Nora wasn't the angel he thought she was. She complained about everything. Charles, she said one morning, why is this house so boring? Why don't you take me on trips like other rich men do? Charles frowned. Nora, I'm busy. I have meetings and projects to handle. She rolled her eyes. Busy, busy, busy. When you were chasing me, you weren't too busy. Sometimes she would insult him if he didn't give her money. Is it not me that makes you look good? Without me, you're just an old man. Charles was shocked. No one had ever talked to him like that before. At night, when he lay in bed, he thought of Emilia again, her patience, her quiet strength, her kindness. She never raised her voice, even when she was hurt. But pride wouldn't let him admit it out loud. One Saturday, when Nora went out shopping, Precious sneaked out of the house with Junior. They took a taxi and went straight to Amaka's place. When Emilia opened the door and saw them, she screamed in shock. My babies. The children ran into her arms, crying, Mommy, we missed you. Emilia fell to her knees, hugging them tightly, kissing their faces over and over again. Tears rolled down her cheeks like rain. My babies. Oh, my babies. I missed you too. Amaka came out from the kitchen and gasped. Jesus, how did they come here? Daddy's girlfriend went out, Precious said softly. We just wanted to see Mummy. Emilia looked at them sadly. Does your father know you came? Junior shook his head. No, Mummy. Please don't tell him. He will beat us. Emilia hugged them again. Don't worry. You'll be safe here. But deep inside, she knew this visit would cause trouble once Charles found out. When Nora came back home that evening and didn't see the children, she frowned and shouted, Charles, where are those brats of yours? Charles looked around, confused. They were playing in their room a few minutes ago. They are gone. Nora yelled, You better go and find them before people start gossiping that I chased them away. Charles stood up in shock. Where could they have gone? Nora folded her arms and hissed, Maybe that fat wife of yours came and took them. Who else would want those crying kids? Charles' heart jumped. You're right. She must be with her friend Amaka. That's the only place she would go. He grabbed his car keys and rushed out in anger. When he arrived at Amaka's house, he pushed the door open and saw Emilia on her knees, hugging Precious and Junior tightly. The children were crying, holding their mother's neck. Charles' face changed instantly. So this is where you hide them? Emilia, you came here to steal my children, he shouted. Emilia quickly stood up, wiping her tears. Charles, please stop shouting. I didn't take them. They came on their own. They missed me. Charles pointed at her angrily. Liar. You think I don't know your tricks? You want to destroy my home again. Before Emilia could speak, little Precious stepped forward, her eyes full of tears. Daddy, she's not lying. We came on our own. I know this place. Mummy used to bring us here to visit Auntie Amaka. Charles froze for a moment, staring at his daughter. His anger slowly turned into guilt, but pride wouldn't let him admit it. Emilia held the children close and said firmly, Charles, they are our children, not just yours. I won't let you separate me from them again. Charles' voice shook with anger. You have no right to talk to me like that. Amaka quickly stepped in front of Emilia. Charles, that's enough. Can't you see what your pride is doing? These children need their mother. Charles glared at her. Stay out of this, Amaka. This is between me and my wife. Emilia looked at him with tears in her eyes. Charles, you still call me your wife, after all the pain, the insults, and throwing me out like a stranger. Charles looked away, his heart trembling. He saw his children clinging to their mother and crying, and something deep inside him began to melt, but pride kept his lips sealed. Without saying another word, he turned and walked out, slamming the door. That night, Emilia held her children close as they slept. She kissed their foreheads and whispered, "No matter what happens, I'll always fight for you." Outside, the wind blew softly, as if heaven itself was listening to her cry. Emilia's heart was still heavy, but having her children beside her gave her new strength. Every morning, she woke up early, prepared them for school, and prayed silently for a better tomorrow. Amaka helped her with food and small money whenever she could. Together, they planned how to rebuild their lives. One bright Monday morning, Amaka came home with excitement written all over her face. She waved a paper in the air and shouted, "Emilia, guess what? My company is hiring a secretary. I told my boss about you, and he said you should come tomorrow for an interview." Emilia gasped. "Me? Are you serious?" Amaka nodded, smiling. "Yes, my dear. You are educated, responsible, and hardworking. I know you can do it. Just go and show them who you are." Tears filled Emilia's eyes as she hugged Amaka tightly. "Amaka, you are more than a friend to me. You're my sister. God will bless you for helping me when everyone else turned their back." The next day, Emilia woke up early and got ready for her interview. She wore a simple but neat gown, brushed her hair, held her bag, and said a short prayer before leaving the house. When she arrived, her heart was beating fast, but she stayed calm. The manager asked her a few questions, and after watching her confidence in the way she spoke, he smiled and said, "You look like someone who knows her work. Can you start tomorrow?" Emilia's face lit up. "Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir." That evening, she came back home dancing with joy. She hugged her children tightly and shouted, "My babies, guess what? Mummy got a job." The kids jumped and clapped their hands. "Yay, Mummy got a job." Emilia laughed and cried at the same time. For the first time since her husband threw her out, she felt hope again. She looked at her children and said softly, "From today, no one will ever hurt us again. I'll work hard and protect you with my life." Junius smiled proudly. "Mummy, you're the strongest woman in the world." Emilia hugged them tight. "And you two are the reason I'll never give up." Meanwhile, Charles' world was slowly falling apart, even though he didn't realize it at first. At home, Nora had changed completely. She no longer treated him like a king. She spent his money carelessly and shouted at him over everything. "Charles," she said one morning, "I'm tired of this house. Buy me a new car." Charles sighed. "But, Nora, I just bought you one last month." She hissed, "That one is small. I want a Jeep. You have money. Stop pretending." Whenever he tried to talk to her gently, she would snap back, "Don't raise your voice at me. I'm not your fat wife that you used to control. Try it, and I'll walk out of this house." Charles was shocked. No woman had ever spoken to him like that. He began to wonder what he had gotten himself into. Even at work, he was no longer focused. His performance dropped. His boss noticed and called him aside. "Charles," he said, "you need to pull yourself together. Don't let personal problems destroy your career." Charles nodded quietly, but his heart was full of pain. At night, while lying beside Nora, he often turned his face to the wall, remembering Emilia, her gentle voice, her laughter, and how she used to bring him food with a smile and say, "Darling, please eat before it gets cold." He sighed deeply. "I didn't know peace until I lost it." One Friday evening, Charles came home earlier than usual. He wanted to surprise Nora, maybe show her love again and fix their relationship. But the moment he opened the door, he heard laughter, a man's voice. He froze. Slowly, he walked toward the living room, and what he saw made his heart stop. Nora was sitting on the couch, wearing a short nightdress, laughing and holding another man's hand as they drank wine. Charles shouted, "Nora!" She turned in shock, then frowned. "Oh, you're back early." Charles's voice shook. "Who is this man? In my house, sitting on my chair." The man stood up nervously. "Bro, calm down. Don't call me bro." Charles roared, "What are you doing in my house?" Nora rolled her eyes. "Stop shouting, Charles. He's just a friend." "Just a friend? drinking wine with you in my living room while you're half-dressed." She dropped her glass. "Charles, don't start drama. You're always shouting. I just needed company." Charles's whole body trembled. "Nora, after everything I gave you, my home, my peace, my money, you bring a man into my house." Nora smirked. "Your house? Please, don't act like a saint. You threw your fat wife out and ran to me, remember? Now you're crying because I'm doing to you exactly what you did to her." The words hit Charles like thunder. His chest tightened. Tears filled his eyes. Without another word, he turned around and walked out, slamming the door behind him. Charles got into his car and drove into the night. His mind was blank, his heart heavy with regret. He could still hear Nora's cruel words echoing in his head. "You threw your fat wife out. Now you're crying." He saw Amelia's face clearly, her smile, her kindness, her love. A tear rolled down his cheek. "What have I done?" he whispered. He pressed harder on the accelerator. Rain began to fall. The road was slippery. Then suddenly, a huge truck appeared out of nowhere. Charles tried to swerve, but it was too late. The sound of metal tearing filled the air. The car spun and slammed into a pole. Glass shattered everywhere. Then everything went silent. Everything went dark. News of the accident spread quickly. When Festus, Charles's elder brother, heard what happened, he dropped everything and rushed to the hospital. His heart was beating fast as he prayed silently. "Oh God, please don't let my brother die. Please give him another chance." When he reached the hospital, he ran straight to the reception. "Good afternoon, nurse. My name is Festus. My younger brother, Charles Benson, was brought here after an accident. Please, where is he?" The nurse looked up from her desk. "Room 206, sir. But the doctor is there right now." Festus didn't wait another second. He hurried down the long white corridor, his shoes echoing on the floor. His heart felt heavy, his hands shaking. When he entered the ward, he stopped at the door, staring at the sight before him. Charles was lying on the hospital bed, his head wrapped in bandages, both legs covered with white plaster. Machines beeped softly beside him. He looked weak, pale, and broken, nothing like the proud, strong man Festus once knew. Festus swallowed hard and whispered, "Oh, my brother, what have you done to yourself?" The doctor turned around and greeted him politely. "Good afternoon, sir. Are you the patient's relative?" Festus nodded quickly. "Yes, I'm his elder brother. Please, how is he?" The doctor sighed. "He's very lucky to be alive. The accident was serious. His two legs were badly injured, especially the left one. We did everything we could. With time, therapy, and proper care, he will be able to walk again, but not soon." Festus frowned in worry. "Doctor, what do you mean?" The doctor replied gently, "For now, he won't be able to walk. He will have to use a wheelchair until his legs heal enough for therapy. It may take months." Festus stood still for a moment, speechless. His eyes filled with tears. "Oh God, my brother." The doctor patted his shoulder softly. "Be thankful he survived. It could have been worse. God gave him a second chance." Festus nodded slowly, his heart heavy. He looked again at his brother lying helplessly on the bed. The strong man who once laughed so loud, mocked his wife, and lived like a king, now couldn't move his legs. After talking to the doctor, Festus stepped out of the room and leaned on the wall, his eyes red. Memories of the last time he spoke to Charles flooded his mind, the anger, the warning, the shame. He remembered shouting, "You will lose everything that truly matters if you don't change." Now, looking at his brother's condition, he felt both pain and pity. He whispered quietly, "I told you, Charles, but you didn't listen." He wiped his face and walked back into the ward. The doctor had finished his rounds and left. The room was quiet except for the sound of the machine beside the bed. Festus pulled a chair and sat beside Charles, watching him breathe. He sat there for a few minutes, praying silently, until he saw Charles' fingers twitch. "Doctor," he called out softly, but before the doctor came back, Charles's eyes began to open slowly. Festus leaned closer. "Charles, Charles, can you hear me?" Charles blinked weakly and tried to speak, but his voice was faint. brother." Festus's eyes widened with relief. "Thank you, Jesus. You're awake." Charles looked confused. Where am I?" "You're in the hospital," Festus said gently. "You had an accident, but you're alive." Charles frowned slightly. "My legs. I can't feel my legs." Festus hesitated, then said softly, "The doctor said they were badly injured. But don't worry. With therapy and care, you'll walk again. For now, you'll have to use a wheelchair." Charles's eyes filled with tears. "A wheelchair," he whispered. No, it can't be." Festus held his hand firmly. "Calm down, Charles. You're still alive. That's what matters." But Charles turned his face away, silent tears rolling down his cheeks. In that moment, the proud man who once laughed at others' pain began to taste his own. Festus looked at him and sighed deeply. "Maybe this is God's way of teaching you something, my brother." He sat quietly beside him as Charles lay there, staring at the ceiling, broken both in body and spirit. Outside the hospital, the rain began to fall again, soft, steady, and cold, like heaven itself was washing away pride from the earth. After 3 long weeks in the hospital, Charles was finally discharged. His body was weak, his legs wrapped with bandages, and his heart full of shame. Festus came that morning to help him return home. The nurse rolled his wheelchair to the hospital gate, and Festus slowly helped him into the car. Charles winced in pain as his brother lifted him carefully. "Take it easy, brother," Festus said softly. Charles nodded weakly, his eyes wet. "Thank you, brother, for not abandoning me." Festus sighed. "You're my blood, Charles. But I pray this experience teaches you something." The ride home was quiet. Charles stared out the window, watching the world move, people walking freely, children playing, cars speeding by, all things he couldn't do anymore. Tears rolled silently down his cheeks. When they got to the house, Festus parked and walked around to help his brother out. Nora was inside, sitting at her dressing table, painting her nails and humming to music. Festus carried Charles gently and placed him in his wheelchair. Charles looked around the living room. Everything still smelled like Nora's perfume, but the warmth that once filled the house was gone. "Nora," Festus called out. "He's back home." Nora didn't answer immediately. She took her time finishing her makeup before walking lazily into the living room. Her eyes met Charles's, and she frowned slightly. "Oh, you're back." Charles looked down. "Yes. The doctor said I'll be using this wheelchair for some time." Nora crossed her arms. That's your business." Festus stared at her in disbelief. "That's all you have to say?" She shrugged. "What else should I say? Welcome." Festus clenched his fists but tried to stay calm. "I helped bring him home. He'll need care, someone to cook for him, give him his drugs, and help him move around." Nora rolled her eyes. "And why are you telling me?" Festus frowned. "Because you're the woman living with him. Isn't that obvious?" Nora laughed mockingly. "Wait, are you trying to leave this crippled man here for me to take care of? Do I look like his wife to you? You must be joking." Festus's face hardened. "Nora, is he not your man? You're the reason his wife left. You told him to throw her out. Now you want to abandon him when he needs you most." Nora hissed loudly. "Did I force him to throw his wife out? No, that was his choice. He invited me to stay, but he didn't marry me. So don't expect me to turn into a nurse or maid for your brother." Festus's anger burned. "You wicked woman. You destroyed his home and now you talk like this." Nora folded her arms calmly. "Look, if you still love your brother, you better employ someone to take care of him. Because I'm not doing it." Festus looked at Charles, who sat silently in his wheelchair, tears gathering in his eyes. "You see, Charles? You see who you threw your wife away for? The woman you called queen is showing you her true color now." Charles lowered his head in shame. "Brother, I have no words." Festus shook his head sadly. "I warned you, but pride blinded you. I'll come to check on you later, but remember, this is the fruit of your actions." He picked up his car key and walked to the door. Nora called out behind him, "Please close the door when you leave." Festus stopped for a second, turned around, and gave her a cold look. You'll answer to God for your cruelty." Then he left. That evening, the house was quiet. Charles sat alone in his wheelchair, staring at the ceiling. His legs hurt, but what hurt more was the emptiness inside his chest. He called out softly, "Nora, Nora, please come." No answer. He tried again, louder, "Nora." After some seconds, Nora shouted back from the bedroom, "What is it again? Can't you let someone rest?" Charles sighed. "Please, help me. I need to take my drugs. I'm hungry." Nora stormed out, angry. "Charles, how many times did I call you? I am not your maid or nanny. You better find someone to do all these things for you." Charles looked at her helplessly. "Nora, please, just help me make small food so I can take my medicine." Nora folded her arms. "Charles, I need money. I want to fix my hair and buy some things." Charles swallowed hard. "Nora, I don't have money now. The accident cost me everything I had. My savings are gone." Nora laughed wickedly. "Then there's no reason for me to be here. You can't provide for me anymore. So what am I doing here?" Charles's voice broke. "Nora, don't say that. You can't leave me like this." But Nora was already walking away. She opened the wardrobe and began packing her clothes into a big bag. Charles's eyes widened. "Nora, please, don't do this. I need you." She turned sharply. "Need me? You should have thought of that before you threw your wife out. I'm not your wife. I don't owe you anything." Charles reached out helplessly. "Nora, please." She ignored him, zipped up her bag, and walked out without looking back. The door slammed hard, and silence filled the house again. Charles sat there, motionless, staring into space. The truth hit him like thunder. He had lost everything. His wife, his children, his peace, and now the woman he thought loved him. Tears poured down his face as he whispered, "Oh God, what have I done to myself?" The next day, Festus came to check on him. When he entered the house and didn't see Nora, he frowned. "Where is that woman?" Charles looked up slowly, his eyes red from crying. "She left." Festus's face darkened. "She left you? Just like that?" Charles nodded weakly. "She said she's not my maid. She can't take care of me." Festus sighed deeply. "I don't blame her. I blame you. I warned you, Charles. You chased away the only woman who truly loved you, the woman who suffered with you when you had nothing. Now see who you chose instead. You threw away gold for dust." Charles covered his face and began to cry. "Brother, you are right. I have realized my mistake. Every night, I see Amelia's face in my dreams. I hear her crying. I see our children calling me. I feel so empty." Festus placed a hand on his shoulder. "You see, brother, pride is a dangerous thing. You mocked your wife for being fat, but that same woman carried your pain, your shame, and your hunger for years. She was your helper, your gift from God." Charles wept louder. "Brother, I have destroyed my life with my own hands. Please, please help me. Take me to Amelia. Let me beg her for forgiveness. Even if she refuses to come back, let me tell her I am sorry." Festus nodded slowly. "It won't be easy, but I'll talk to her. I'll tell her what has happened. I just hope it's not too late." Charles wiped his tears. "I don't care if she doesn't want me again. I just want her to forgive me. I can't sleep at night knowing how much I hurt her." Festus sighed sadly, looking at his broken brother sitting helplessly in a wheelchair. "I warned you, Charles. But maybe this pain will teach you to value true love." Charles whispered softly, "I lost everything, brother. But if I can see Amelia one more time, maybe I'll find peace." Festus placed his hand on his shoulder again. "Rest now. I'll go and find her." Charles nodded, crying silently as Festus stood up and walked toward the door. When Festus stepped outside, he looked up at the sky and whispered, "God, touch Amelia's heart. Let her forgive him. He has learned his lesson." 2 days later, Festus went to see Amelia. She was at her new job as a secretary, arranging files in her office when he walked in quietly. When she turned and saw him, she froze in surprise. "Brother Festus," she said softly, "what are you doing here? Festus smiled sadly. Emilia, can we talk? She quickly finished typing a letter, closed the file, and nodded. Yes, sir. They sat on a small bench outside the building. Festus looked into her tired but peaceful face and sighed deeply. Emilia, he began, I know my brother hurt you badly. He insulted you, mocked you, and abandoned you when you needed him most. But God has dealt with him in his own way. Emilia looked worried. What happened? Festus's voice softened. Charles had a terrible accident. Both of his legs were badly injured. He can't walk for now. He's in a wheelchair. Emilia gasped. Jesus. My God. Her eyes filled with tears. Is he alive? Festus nodded slowly. Yes, but he's broken, not only in body, but in spirit. Nora left him the moment she realized he couldn't provide for her anymore. He's all alone now. He asked me to beg you to forgive him. Emilia wiped her tears quietly. Brother Festus, I suffered. That man made me feel like I wasn't human. He threw me away like trash. My children cried every night. I cried too. The pain was too much. Festus held her hand gently. I know, my sister. But you've always had a soft heart. Don't let bitterness take over. Forgive him, even if you don't go back. Forgiveness will give you peace. Emilia looked down for a long moment, then nodded slowly. You're right. I can't carry anger forever. I'll forgive him, not because he deserves it, but because I want peace in my heart. Festus smiled softly. God bless you, Emilia. You don't know how proud I am of you. She wiped her eyes and whispered, Please, take me to him. Let me see him. Later that evening, Festus drove Emilia to Charles's house. Charles was sitting in his wheelchair by the window, staring into space, when he heard the door open. He turned slowly, and his heart nearly stopped. Emilia, he whispered. She stood there, wearing a simple gown, her eyes full of tears. For a long moment, both of them just stared at each other in silence. Charles's lips trembled. You came. Emilia nodded softly. Yes, I came. He wiped his eyes quickly. Emilia, I don't deserve to look at you. I wronged you in every way. I mocked your body. I insulted your love. I threw you out like you were nothing. I thought I was wise, but I was blind. I lost everything because of pride. He broke down, crying helplessly. Please, forgive me, Emilia. I beg you in God's name. I can't sleep at night. I see your face and the faces of our children. Please, forgive me. Emilia's tears fell as she knelt beside him. Charles, I forgave you even before I came here. I just asked God to give me strength to say it. I've carried that pain too long. Charles covered his face and wept. I don't deserve your kindness. You are gold, Emilia. I threw away gold and picked sand. She touched his hand gently. You didn't throw away gold. You just didn't recognize its value until it was too late. Festus, standing by the door, wiped his own tears quietly. He had never seen such a powerful moment. Charles whispered, Will you ever come back home? Emilia smiled sadly. Charles, what you need now is healing. Let's take things one step at a time. I'll be here to help you walk again, not because I owe you, but because I still care. Charles nodded, sobbing softly. Even hearing that gives me hope. Emilia smiled faintly. The children miss you. When you get stronger, they'll come see you. Charles smiled through his tears. Thank you for not giving up on me, even when I gave up on myself. Festus placed a hand on both of them. This is what love and forgiveness look like. God has restored what pride destroyed. Weeks passed, and Emilia kept her promise. She visited often after work, helped Charles eat, gave him his medicine, and even made him laugh again. The children came on weekends, filling the house with laughter once more. Charles worked hard during his therapy. He cried through the pain but never gave up, because every time he looked up, Emilia was there, smiling and cheering him on. Come on, Charles, she said one afternoon. You can do it. One more step. And for the first time since the accident, Charles managed to move his legs a little. Everyone clapped joyfully. Emilia's eyes shone with happiness. See? I told you, God still has plans for you. Charles smiled weakly. And this time, I won't waste it." He looked at her deeply. "Emilia, you're the real blessing I never valued. You taught me what true love means, and I'll never forget it." She smiled softly. "And you taught me that forgiveness is stronger than pain." As months passed, Charles slowly learned to walk again with a stick. He and Emilia rebuilt a quiet friendship based on peace and respect. The children were happy again, and even Festus smiled whenever he visited. One cool evening, Charles sat outside with Emilia and said quietly, "You know, I used to think love was about beauty and shape. But now I know, love is about the heart that stands by you when everyone else walks away." Emilia nodded gently. "And I've learned that forgiveness doesn't make you weak. It makes you free." They both smiled at each other as the golden sun slowly disappeared behind the trees. Charles whispered, "Thank you, Emilia, for everything." She smiled softly, "Thank God, not me." And as the evening breeze blew across the compound, it carried away the pain of the past, leaving behind peace, forgiveness, and a love that found healing again. Moral of the story: pride can destroy what love has built. Never forget the people who stood by you when you had nothing. True beauty is not in body or shape, but in the heart that loves you sincerely. Forgiveness heals deeper wounds than revenge ever can. The end. A story of love, forgiveness, and second chances. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this story, drop a comment below and let us know where you're watching from. We'd love to hear from you. And please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you never miss another touching story from us.